The Giants are making moves. Multiple huge updates as we come out of day one of the NFL Combine, where head coach John Harbaugh and GM Joe Schoen got to speak to the media for the first time. And it was a lot to dig into, so let's go ahead and let's get right into it. Now, Joe Schoen and John Harbaugh come in and give their press conferences for what they've got going on in the offseason with the teams and talking about some of the prospects that they've been looking at throughout this NFL Combine experience. But one thing truly stuck out here above the rest, and it wasn't actually who they're looking at with the 5th overall pick, though we will get into that in due time. It was none other than Kayvon Thibodeaux. Now, Kayvon is a guy that, there was a lot of high hopes for him coming out of Oregon when he was drafted. He's been with the organization going on 5 years now, got his 5th-year option picked up by the team. And when you look at what you hoped for his career compared to where it's at, he's been a good player. He's been a solid player. But has it matched up to the expectations of being the 5th overall pick? We'd probably have to say no. I mean, the questions about Kayvon coming out were how much he really loved football. What did he want more, being great at football or the stardom that comes with football? And he's taken advantage of both, especially playing in New York. Now, a lot of rumors swirling about where he stands with the team, especially when you consider the fact that on that line with the other edge rushers he's playing with, you've got Brian Burns, who's been super solid in the 2 years he's been with the New York Giants. And then you've got Abdul Carter, who they recently just took with the 2nd overall pick. And the hope is for Abdul Carter to play where you want him to play and do the things you want him to do. Once Shane Bowen was let go and Charlie Boulin was brought in, we start to saw a little bit better things happen for Carter, which comes with questions about Kayvon Thibodeaux. And well, when we get right into it, Joe Schoen in his press conference said something that truly stuck out. And what that was right now, Kayvon's going to be with us. He's played well. He's going into his 5th year, and he's motivated. You can't have enough pass rushers. And hey, look, Joe Schoen, I don't disagree with that. You definitely can't have enough pass rushers, especially with the grind of the NFL season and injuries coming into place. You do need that depth. True indeed. But one thing Joe Schoen also said in this was that he will be taking calls. He will be listening. He's the general manager, and he will be taking calls. And that's where things stuck out. Because, how mad can you be at Joe Schoen for wanting to take phone calls on a guy like Kayvon, right? Because the GM previous to Joe Schoen was Dave Gettleman. And one of the biggest gripes that I had, along with a lot of other Giants fans as well, when it came to Dave Gettleman, was he was not picking up that phone. He was not listening to phone calls like that. Outside of the famous OBJ trade where we didn't sign Odell to trade him, he wasn't really picking up assets for a lot of guys that you didn't expect to be here long term. With Joe Schoen, at least you've got that cooking. So, you can say what you want, but you can't have it both ways. You're either having a GM who's not listening to the offers that are coming to his phone, or a GM that does. And whatever you think about Joe Schoen, if he's going to be able to get the best possible package for Kayvon, it's a win-win situation. Now, if Kayvon Thibodeaux were to get traded, what would happen? Well, ESPN's Dan Graziano had this to say regarding what will happen to Kayvon. And what he did have to say was that it seems more likely that the Giants will try to find a trade partner for Kayvon Thibodeaux rather than extending him. What sticks out to us there exactly? Well, what sticks out to us is you have an esteemed reporter from ESPN who covers the NFL coming out and mentioning this about what's going to happen. And if you really don't have any intentions of paying Kayvon Thibodeaux, then it is time to cut bait. But how exactly do you do that? Well, there's a bunch of different ways, right? You can get on the phones now, which Joe Schoen said he will do if somebody comes and calls with the right offer. Or you can let this marinate a little bit. As I said, Kayvon Thibodeaux hasn't been a terrible player when you get down to the nitty and gritty of it. I mean, when you look at the stats in his last 4 years here, they truly do stick out. Combined tackles, he's got 152. You see the solo numbers there along with the assist numbers. Got a lot of quarterback pressures in there as well. That's what I mean. Solid numbers. Not great, but solid. Obviously, a lot of people want, more forced fumbles and, more quarterback hits and whatnot. It's been a huge gripe. But when opposing teams, especially opposing teams who are on the cusp of competing for a championship, and they want that piece that can really help get them over the hump, that's where a guy like Kayvon Thibodeaux comes into play. Like I said, solid player. The Jets themselves, when it was time for them to move on from, players like Jamal Adams, they took what was there, and it was a very similar situation. It was, hey, super solid player, just not going to work out for us. We don't have any plans of paying a safety. Move on from him, get what you get, and keep it pushing. And that's exactly where the Giants can go here. When you think of teams around the league that are right there for a Super Bowl, or even teams that just feel like, similar to the Giants when they traded for Brian Burns. We feel like this is a player that can get us over the hump back into the playoff conversation. You can gain anywhere from, I want to say, a 3rd round pick, maybe a 4th round pick for a guy like Kayvon Thibodeaux. But if you allow him to go through a season where he can continue to play with guys like Brian Burns and Abdul Carter and Dexter Lawrence and whatnot, and him not being a focal point can make his numbers look better, especially with a coaching staff that can utilize him a lot better than what he was used for last season. Shane Bowen, it's very clear to everybody that he was not a great defensive coordinator. So when you put into the fact that there's a new defensive coordinator in place, John Harbaugh, who is a special teams guy, but has shown through his tenure with the Ravens that he is all about the defense, this is something that could work out in the Giants' favor. It can help them win games. And aside from helping you win games, it also gives teams another look at Kayvon Thibodeaux with a better staff to give him a chance to have stronger numbers and more of an impact on a team that right now a lot of people don't feel like is going anywhere. But teams that can see that and say, hey, we want to get in on this. We think that this is a guy that can get us to where we need to go. So what do you guys think? Let me know in the comments. If you like this and want to hear more, make sure to like and subscribe. I'm Rich Perez, and this was your Giants Digest.